Welcome back to the IMN podcast, where we take these huge global shifts and, well, we try to turn them into insights you can actually use.
And today we are diving into something that is just staggering when you see the numbers.
It really is. We're talking about the AI trust divide. Okay, so look at China. You have a massive and curious 87% of the population saying they trust artificial intelligence.
87%. Now, just hold that number.
And then you compare it to the West. In the U.S., that number, it just plummets. We're talking 32%.
And that gap, that 55-point gap, it's not a technical glitch. It's a profound ethical and cultural chasm.
A chasm. That's the right word for it. It shows that trust is really the ultimate currency right now.
And it forces us to see that there are two very different playbooks for technology adoption shaping global business.
Absolutely. On one side, you've got the West, which is really pursuing what we've talked about before, that efficiency-first agenda.
Right. And on the other, the global South, which is leaning into a people-first agenda, prioritizing relationships and, moral duty.
Exactly. And if you missed our previous deep dive on that people-first agenda, I really encourage you to go back and listen. It sets the stage perfectly for what we're talking about today.
Our mission here, as always, is to synthesize those insights that often get missed, making these, really complex subjects easy to understand.
And this deep dive is brought to you by IMN. They specialize in providing incredibly helpful, personalized information on just about any subject relevant to you as a professional.
They search through millions of data points to give you these succinct, easy-to-read formats.
We'll talk more about that later, but first, let's unpack this Western obsession with efficiency.
That whole approach is almost entirely rooted in performance marketing. Everything has to be results accountable.
Optimized for speed, short feedback cycles.
Exactly. We rely on these key metrics like customer acquisition cost, or CAC, and especially return on ad spend, ROAS.
ROAS, right. So how much money are you making for every dollar you spend on ads?
Precisely. And in theory, it sounds great, hyper-efficient automation.
But the problem is, that efficiency becomes a commodity, doesn't it?
It does. When every single competitor is using the same AI tools, leveraging the same LLMs to optimize their campaigns.
The content might be personalized for me, the user, but from a brand perspective, it's all the same. It's undifferentiated.
You've just walked right into the commodity trap. You risk your long-term brand resilience because you haven't built anything unique.
You've just built a better machine for conversion.
And that undifferentiated efficiency, that's really the first step toward that trust deficit we see in places like the US and the UK.
Yeah, that skepticism is so palpable. Here, AI is seen as a wild card, maybe a sidekick.
But rarely, if ever, a hero, which is how it's seen in places like India.
And here's a detail that I think is critical. The number one barrier to AI adoption in the West.
Yeah.
It isn't job loss.
That surprises so many business leaders.
It's data privacy concerns. It's cited twice as often as worrying about your job.
And that reflects this really profound consumer fear of data misuse, and I think just as importantly, a lack of transparency.
Let's talk about that lack of transparency, because that's where you get onto this manipulation spectrum.
Exactly. If an AI is designed purely for short-term conversion, there's a huge ethical risk.
What do you mean by that?
Well, what if the algorithm is so effective it can identify your known psychological vulnerabilities?
Okay.
Say it identifies moments of high stress or anxiety to get you to buy an expensive product you don't need.
That crosses a line.
A fundamental line. It might drive a great quarter for ROAS, but it completely erodes any long-term trust. It kills that affective commitment to the brand.
And you can see that Western companies, they're really aware of this. They're carefully managing the AI narrative.
Oh, absolutely.
Take Lowe's, the big home improvement retailer. When they rolled out their AI assistant Milo in early 2025, they were so careful with the framing.
Milo is a perfect example of this trust mitigation strategy. It's not a replacement. It's a digital sidekick.
A sidekick for DIY empowerment.
Right. Its main job is to supplement the human associates, not replace them. That explicit human oversight is the necessary cultural concession in the West.
It's a signal that says, we are supporting you, not automating you.
Exactly. Now, let's pivot and look at the dramatic contrast in the East and the global South, where that 87% trust figure comes from.
In a whole different world.
In markets like India, like China, optimism is sky high. AI is genuinely seen as a hero, a powerful amplifier of personal capability.
And that, Lou, is tied to a fundamentally different idea of business relationships.
Inextricably linked. And you see it perfectly in the Chinese concept of Guanxi.
Guanxi, which is so much more than just networking, isn't it?
Oh, far more. Guanxi is about a personalized, close business relationship. It's built on a reciprocal exchange of favors, mutual obligations.
It's what gets you access, preferential treatment. It's a human contract.
A very human contract. So if the West operates on calculative commitment, a cold cost-benefit analysis.
The Guanxi demands affective commitment.
Yes. It means the commitment is based on personal care, morality, and social norms, like ranking a kind of humanized obligation, and Mianzi, which is about saving face.
So the relationship comes first.
The relationship is primary. The transaction is secondary. You don't buy from someone because they're 5% cheaper. You buy because you trust their integrity.
And you see this relational blueprint playing out in commerce, right?
Yeah.
Especially on platforms like Douyin or Xiaohongshu.
Absolutely. On those platforms, shopping isn't some solitary algorithmic act. It's a community experience.
It's driven by trust in what they call KOCs, key opinion consumers.
Right. And discovery happens through content that reinforces those social bonds. It's all about affective commitment. When AI enters that system, it's expected to enhance the relationship.
Not just speed up the click-through rate.
Exactly. And that shift from calculating a metric to cultivating morality, that is the key strategic challenge for any global business right now.
And it requires synthesizing these vast amounts of, incredibly complex cultural, philosophical, and technical data.
Yeah, it does. And figuring out how to structure your AI strategy across these completely different trust environments is, it's really hard.
This is why synthesized knowledge is so important.
And this difficulty, this challenge of navigating and distilling millions of data points into something highly personalized and succinct, it's exactly the problem that IMN exists to solve for professionals like you.
Whether you're deciding how to deploy a relational AI in Shanghai or an efficiency tool in London, you need that context. We'd encourage you to research mymn.com to see how they can simplify that information search for you.
Let's go a bit deeper, though, into the civilizational wisdom that anchors this, because it's not just modern policy. It's ancient moral frameworks.
We talked about this idea of a people-first agenda in our last deep dive, but what specific ancient principles are guiding this?
Well, we can look to ancient Indian philosophies, specifically the principle of Satya, or truthfulness.
Truthfulness.
Applied digitally, Satya demands verifiable transparency in AI operations. These systems can't be black boxes if they're making crucial decisions about our lives.
But how do you actually achieve transparency when the algorithms are built on, billions of data points and proprietary models? That feels almost impossible.
That's the friction point. It mandates comprehensive AI documentation, not just a short description.
What does that involve?
It means detailing the model's training data, its known limitations, its precise intended use. It becomes a roadmap for accountability. It lets people verify the truth of its outputs.
So it raises the cost of deployment, but it secures the trust you need for the long run.
Precisely. Accountability is tied directly to verifiable truth.
Okay, so that's accountability. What about communal well-being?
For that, we can turn to African wisdom, specifically the principle of Ubuntu.
I am because we are.
Famously, yes, Ubuntu prioritizes communal well-being over purely individual gain.
So what does that mean for a business wanting to deploy a new AI tool?
It means market legitimacy is only secured when the enterprise is seen as a contributing member of the community.
You have to prove you're adding value, not just extracting it.
Exactly. Under Ubuntu, AI strategies must be vetted to ensure they contribute positively. Do they support local job creation? Do they undermine it? The moral question isn't just how do we mitigate harm, it's how do we actively contribute to the good?
And we see the commercial power of this approach. Look at a company like Patanjali in India's consumer goods sector.
Patanjali is a textbook case of this. They leveraged powerful cultural branding Ayurvedic principles and the credibility of figures like Baba Ramdev to build immense trust.
They took huge market share, not by competing on efficiency, but on cultural connection and perceived moral alignment.
Their success proves that effective commitment translates directly into real-world performance.
But here's a question. Does that model rely too much on a specific figurehead, on a deep-seated cultural heritage? Could a new tech startup in Bangalore do the same thing?
That's a crucial point. The lesson isn't that you need a spiritual leader. The lesson is that you must establish authentic cultural fluency.
You have to operate within the existing social contract.
You do. If that startup aligns its AI with demonstrable community benefit, if it provides transparent documentation, Satya, and avoids extractive models, Ubuntu, then it builds its own version of effective commitment.
So if Western AI is optimized for ROAS, return on ad spend, the future, KPI has to be something else.
It has to move beyond that. The new KPI, we think, should be long-term relational value, or LTRV.
LTRV. Okay, so how does that work? It integrates financial outcomes with social capital indicators.
Right. It's a measure of success that actually incorporates that effective commitment we've been talking about.
But how do you measure something like effective commitment on a spreadsheet? What do those social capital indicators even look like?
There are things like bias mitigation scores, which show you're working on fairness, reciprocity indices, documenting community reinvestment, transparency scores from that AI
They're
documentation.
literally programming the algorithm for moral duty alongside financial gain.
You're putting a measurable value on the ethical and cultural inputs that build trust.
And this actually aligns with what users globally say they want from AI. They don't want it to do their jobs for them.
They want it to make them better at their jobs. They want an amplifier. They want it to enhance creativity, accelerate learning, support better work-life balance.
We see this with a company like Perfect Core, right? The one from Taiwan in the beauty industry.
Perfect Core is a perfect example. They're famous for their virtual try-ons.
The AR feature.
Yes. They were using highly sophisticated tech AI and AR to build trust. In a high involvement category like makeup, the risk of a trial and error purchase is really high.
The virtual try-on eliminates that risk.
It aligns the function of the technology with emotional reassurance. The customer feels confident and respected. That is true trust-driven personalization.
It's just such an incredible contrast, isn't it? The difference between optimizing for a transactional click and optimizing for a sustained positive feeling.
In the end, the success of AI will be defined by how it makes people feel. Whether they feel empowered, protected, and respected, it's a question of cultural fluency.
Not just technical capability.
Not at all.
That is the essential takeaway. And understanding these complex global currents, this intersection of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge tech, is just so vital.
It really is.
And this is exactly what the IMN podcast is designed to do, to simplify these complex subjects in a relatively short format and provide those valuable, easily digestible insights for professionals like you.
We really encourage you to subscribe, follow, and share this deep dive with your network, especially with anyone who's tackling global strategy.
And if you need this level of synthesized, actionable, and personalized information about any subject, research IMN solutions today. They can help you navigate and distill millions of data points. Just visit myimn.com. That is myimn.as.com.
So we'll leave you with one final thought, building on this idea of LTRV. If AI can be mathematically optimized for ROAS, can it also be mathematically instructed to optimize for LTRV, the weighted sum of bias mitigation and effective commitment?
How radically will our definition of business success change when our algorithms are programmed not just for efficiency, but for moral duty?
Something to think about.
We'll explore that question and more in our next deep dive. Until then, keep digging for the truth.